What do you look for in a hotel? A room with a view? Affordable rates? Friendly staff? Perhaps a continental breakfast? Turn of century New York? Offered a little bit more than that. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through my file on turn-of-the-century hotels from New York City, starting with this beauty, the Plaza Hotel. I don't have a lot of information on them. I'm going to bring you the visuals and you can make of it what you will. But I would suggest there's much more going on here than meets the eye. And there is so much to meet the eye. This would be the Grand Hotel. The opulence now, we're looking at what they would call the Gilded Age opulence. The over-the-top construction of so many of the buildings during that time frame. And what I suggest is that these were all part of an old world civilization, inherited and in many cases repurposed, but I suspect many of these were used as what we would call hotels. This is the Grand Union Hotel. Get a nice street scene here with the streetcars in full effect, the horse and buggies. Herald Square Hotel. Notice too the verticality of the construction. I know many of these have some very interesting deep stories attached with the robber barons and the big moneyed folk of the time. This one, Hotel Astor, this being one, but really something to soak in with your eyes. We have a rooftop patio, you can see the trees up there. Spectacular and no longer standing. Hotel Claridge. Are you beginning to notice the pattern of these old world structures? If you've seen any of my other videos, it should be starting to come together for you. And where you see these things repeat themselves with the style of build. And what I contend is we are looking at, again, remnants of a previous civilization. Having been repurposed, many of these almost scrubbed from history. This is the Majestic Hotel. I like this one a lot too, the Hotel Manhattan. Really giving you a sense of the underground aspects. Many of these going several stories underground for the ones that we do have information. Like I said, many of them having been scrubbed from the history books in all but postcard form is what remains. Hotel Marie Antoinette. And of course, so many of these not even really having construction timelines for us, really just being told that they were built in a specific year. Very vague. Hotel McAlpin. Spectacular. Really, many of these deserve their own video. I just wanted to bring you the visuals. Hotel Navarre. Oh, the Hotel Netherland. Having some very interesting gargoyle type figures down here. Difficult to see, a bit grainy, but you still get a sense of the majesty of the old world. Hotel Normandy and the Abbey Casino. So this might be the hotel here. This is possibly the casino. Well, not possibly. It says casino right here. Really amazing structures erased from our modern day existence for the most part. And we would no longer really have this type of construction, of course, because we can't, I suggest, or we won't, or both. Hotel Rector. The Hotel Rochester. We have that, what we call a mud flood aspect. Maybe not always the best word, maybe there's a different type of explanation, but we use that term to describe the re-leveling of the streets to a different height than what was originally intended for these structures. The Hotel 10 Ike. Again, a really good example of that mud flood effect. Here you have some stairs going down to a door, and then you have all but buried windows disappearing up the street. Here's a Hotel Woodstock. The Hotel Belmont. Now again, the verticality of these structures. Now I know it's New York City and you can say yes, it was a bustling metropolis even at the turn of the century, and you're not wrong as far as we're told. Still very difficult to account for all these structures existing at the time and also being repurposed so quickly. Suspicious. And I suspect more to the story. The Hotel Pennsylvania. And there's so much more to New York than hotels. It really is something you can get lost in doing this type of research, digging up more and more buildings that are quite obviously from the old world. This is the Hotel Woodward. Now you see up here, this shape is what I suspected through my old world research, possibly a mooring dock for the airships that existed at the time. Now we're all familiar with the Hindenburg disaster and the elimination of that type of travel from our reality. I contend that in the old world it was a popular and common means of transportation, and many of these structures had these mooring docks built in. Here we have the Knickerbocker Hotel. And you can see the subway system well intact here. Fantastic crisp photo for you. And no shortage of eye candy up here. And we get into the what we would call Antiquitech in this research, used for the channeling and harnessing of the ether, a whole different energy system that we're unfamiliar with, but I think a part of the old world and a part of our history that has been erased. The New Yorker Hotel. There's your blimp airship. This is just a massive structure. Obviously not a great photo, but you do get a sense of some, maybe what you would call Art Deco construction going on here. Interesting the way that's built. The Waldorf Astoria, the second Waldorf Astoria, we are told. All of this history very hazy and obscured, distorted. Anything pre-World War II, very difficult to ascertain any validity. That was, I think, the last major memory wipe of civilization, World War II. Hotel Times Square. And also when you're looking at these photos, do keep in mind when you see what we call the vanilla sky, or the vanilla skied effect you'll hear people referring to. What you have is basically a whited out background or a hazed out background, giving the illusion that this is the only building standing at this height in this photograph, where it's very possible there would have been much more going on in the skyline at that period of time. So some obscuring of the facts of history going on there. The Park Avenue Hotel. Again, a nice quality photograph. You get a real sense too of the columns with their capitals, all a part of that ether energy harnessing system. And I will add a link in the description to a good video that can help walk you through some of those concepts. Remember, I'm not saying everything you're going to see is true, but just keep it in mind and take it all with a grain. But take it in and be willing to consider that we have been deceived. There's that Plaza Hotel again. Not as good of a photo as we began the video with, but worth another look. The Savoy Plaza, Old World. The Manger Windsor Hotel. Looks fairly plain, but still I would suggest going back into that time frame. Here we have a street scene of the St. Regis Hotel, giving you an idea. Again, you have those porthole type windows across the top. You can see some of the opulence, the decorative and functional. All this old world research leads us to believe that what is decorative also appears to be functional, part of that whole energy system. The Vanderbilt. Also having the feel of a circuit board, like a computer circuit board or a battery system, the way many of these are constructed. A lot of them had pools, swimming pools in the basement. Some of this research leads us to believe that this is all part of that energy harnessing system, the water being used as a part of that, being transformed into swimming pools. The Towers Hotel. Again, massive structures, immense structures, and not only found in New York. We're just focusing on New York because the search has to be narrowed for the purposes of time, to be honest with you. So much of this across the realm, so much of my research staying on the continent of North America, but really I could take you anywhere. I've got files from all over the place, and we see the same evidence no matter where you look. But we are showing you evidence of the old world once existing here in North America. This is the Waldorf Astoria, the original. Didn't last much more than 30 years, I believe. I did a video on it. You can check my channel for that video. Give you the details on what happened there and what we're told. But really, I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's more to the story? Let's take a look at some interiors. Also, what I find suspicious is how sparse the shots of the interiors of these hotels are, how difficult they are to find. I've got a small handful of them for you here. This is the Waldorf Astoria, which we were just looking at. They call it the Turkish Salon. In that sepia color, but still you get a sense of the detail, the level of detail there. This one also from the Waldorf Astoria. Magnificence all around. Really not making any sense. Why on earth would you tear anything like this down other than to erase the past? You're getting rid of the evidence, the obvious evidence that there's much more to the story, this historical narrative than we've been told. This is the Ansonia Hotel. And again, this is only just a small handful that I could find on some of the interiors of these places. And why? Why is it so sparse? This would be the Biltmore Hotel. You see the herringbone floors. So much work would have been involved to finish these structures, not just the actual structure, but the finishing of the building itself, to get it to a point where it looks like this. Then the Biltmore again. Here we have the column capital. Again, you have the all of this built into the etheric structure. Well, not just for looks, I would suggest. This is the Della Robbia grill room in the Vanderbilt Hotel. We did see the Vanderbilt Hotel. Here you get an idea. You have brickwork, arched brickwork on the ceilings. You don't see this anymore because I don't think we could do this. Modern day Hotel Walcott. Nice color photo for you. Check your eyes. Really jumps out at you when it's in color. You can imagine if all of these were in color. But you get a sense again for the detail. What's going on here? Still the Hotel Walcott. And the need for, why the need for the extravagance, right? How else would you explain it? No, there's much more to our history than what we've been told. Here's the Plaza Hotel. You have the columns looking very, very sturdy and very well finished. Again, the Plaza Hotel. Very ornate looking. Finish the interiors with the Vanderbilt once again. You have those brick domed type ceilings landing on the columns. Quite amazing actually. Alright, back to the exteriors. This is apparently the other half of the Waldorf Astoria. This is just a Waldorf going back into the 1800s. Looking a lot like many of the mansions that were torn down. The Gilded Age mansions. Yeah, the robber baron era. They certainly were robbers. They stole much more. They stole our reality, I suggest. This is the Wentworth Hotel. The Grenoble. You can see the Hotel Teresa. None of these just thrown together in any way. Really multi-storied, very, very well decorated. Very few pictures of construction. Very few pictures of many of them even completed. Some of these you're just seeing in this format right here, the Paramount Hotel. And then often when we see construction photos, they do not look very convincing at all. Here's the Commodore. That odd shape again, right? Doesn't really maximize space. It's not really just built for economy. I think there's more going on here than that. Sheraton Hotel. Sure wish we had a nice crisp version of all of these. It would make for much nicer viewing, but I want to bring you at least the evidence that they existed. Hotel Walcott. The Piccadilly, and they're giving us a few interior shots here. You're getting a good idea, especially in these two, of what these looked like. Again, coffered ceilings, no square inch overlooked with these structures. And a rendering now of the Fifth Avenue Hotel, going way back in time. I don't have a date on it, but I suspect we're back in the 1870s, right around this point, and you still see so much of that old world evidence even in the drawing. The Ambassador Hotel. Alright, let's finish on the Ansonia Apartments. Or the Hotel Ansonia, depending on when. Really quite spectacular, way over the top, making very little sense if you try to fit it into our historical narrative, but if you can exit our historical narrative and entertain other possibilities, what we may be looking at here is evidence of an old world civilization. The repurposing, the destruction, the erasing of our true history. What do you think? Thank you for joining me.